ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम्। आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम्। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजा पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। Thank you for being here. We are in the battlefield and we're going to start with chapter 70. We're going to start with chapter 76. So in the previous chapter, we saw how the fighting became so intense and Kampana was killed. So then, Kampana had entered the war. I'm sorry. Kampana had entered the war. And he came in with full energy, power, vengeance to finish the Vanaras. So as he entered the battlefield, pravritte sankule tasmin ghore veera janakshaye angadaha kampanam veeramasasada rana utsukaha. Angada became very, very inspired to fight against Kampana. Angadaha Kampanam Ranoktsuksaha Veeramasasara and gathered his great chivalrous spirit to fight with Kampana. Ahuya so Angada Kopat Tadayamasa Vegitaha Gadaya Kampanaha Purvam Sa Chachala Bhrusha. Now Kampana challenged Angada and picked up his Gadaya Kampanaha Purvamsa. Even before Angada could give the first fist or blow with his mighty arms, Kampanaha, without any, warning, immediately hit Angada, and Angada reeled, fell back. And after some time, regained his consciousness, regained his strength, and with full energy picked up a mountaintop and threw it at Kampana. And he threw it with such velocity and strength that Kampana immediately died on the spot. Then, as soon as Kampana died, tatastu Kampanam drashtva shonitaksho hatam rane rathena kshipram tatra angadam abhitavat. Angada stood there fearlessly when Shonitaksha, one whose eyes are bloodshot red, Shonitaksha very quickly turned his chariot towards Angada and went to challenge and fight with Angada. Picked up his spears and other shafts and threw them one after the other at Angada and pierced Angada's body and tore off Angada's flesh. So body was shining red from all the blood. And before Angada could react, Shonitaksha started to throw even sharper arrows and spears and lances and different varieties of weapons. And Valmiki gives us a whole list of them, 8 of them. Kshura, razor sharp. Shurakpra, Naracha, Vatsadanta. The arrows have shape of the teeth of calves. Shilimukha, Karni, Shalya, Vipatha. And one by one, he was throwing at Angada, but Angada, with his strength, crushed Shonitaksha's entire chariot and arrows of Shonitaksha. And Shonitaksha became bewildered. Like, how is this Angada fighting? And so, in a very deft, quick movement, pulled out his sword and shield to fight with Angada, and got off his chariot and ran towards Angada. Now, Angada himself is standing there and sort of loudly roared looking at Shonitaksha, because now he's gotten off his chariot. They're both on the ground and Angada is ready. And when Shonitaksha came close to Angada to strike him with his sword, Angada caught hold of him. So the one hand held the hand that had the shield, and the other hand, Angada, with his other hand, held Shonitaksha's hand, which had the sword. And then, very quickly, Angada took the sword from Shonitaksha's hand and inserted it into Shonitaksha's left shoulder. And Shonitaksha, because of that the force, moved backwards, and Angada cut Shonitaksha across his chest diagonally, as if marking Upavita. The Brahman thread is what we call it. It's worn on the left shoulder, moving towards the right hip. The cut was a diagonal cut on Shonitaksha's across his chest. Angada, still holding that sword of Shonitaksha, loudly roaring, and Valmiki calls here Angada the son of Vali, because Vali was such a powerful Vanara. Now, when he says son of Vali, it means he's almost like seeing Vali fighting on the battlefield. Now, when Shonitaksha and Angada are fighting like this, there are the others who had left to follow Kampana, if you remember, Prajangha and the Yupaksha. Very, very powerful people. Then these two drove their chariots very furiously towards Angada. Now Angada is going to be ambushed by not only Shonitaksha, but Prajanga and Yupaksha. Now, with all this blood flowing from Shonitaksha's body, Shonitaksha recovered himself, picked up his mighty Gada, and rushed towards Angada. Now, Yupaksha, Prajanga were also there. Hmm? And started fighting with Angada. Now, between these two warriors, Shonitaksha and Prajanga, Angada standing right, where he's being beaten not by one Rakshasa but two of them. Valmiki says Angada was shining like the full moon when the nakshatra Vishakha is on the sky. Now, as soon as the Vanara army saw Angada being ambushed by Shonitaksha and Yupaksha or Prajanga, very quickly Mainda and Dvivida, the twins, who were also related to Angada, supposedly they were maternal uncles too, so they were Tara's brothers, I believe. They came and took positions right next on each side of Angada. And they started bearing all the arrows and the hurt by the Gada along with Angada. Trayanam Vanarendranam Tribihi Rakshasapungavaihi Samsaktanam Mahadyuddham Abhavat Romaharshanam. These three Trayanam Vanarendranam Tribhihi Rakshasapungavai. So three of these warriors, Angada, Dvivida and Mainda, fighting Shonitaksha, Prajanga and Yupaksha, was such an intense fight. Mahad Yuddham Abhavat. It became such a mighty war that anyone who witnessed it, both on the Vanara side and the Rakshasa side, and if anyone is in the sky, all the rishis and devatas who are witnessing this war, plus any one of us who is hearing this recitation by Valmiki, supposedly Roma Harshanam should have their hair standing on end, hearing about how they are fighting. The Vanaras are holding trees, stones, rocks at the most. But Prajanga, who himself had so much power, these trees that they were showering upon the Rakshasas, Prajanga just easily cut off everything that was being thrown or hurled at them. The monkeys, the Vandas, kept throwing even more trees and stones and mountain tops on their chariots and horses, and the encounter was too intense. Now, Yupaksha, who's also there, with great arrows, broke down every tree, mountain top, and boulders that were being thrown at them. So each Rakshasa is also showing his very, very valiant nature. And then Shonitaksha, with his Gada, as the Vanaras were throwing at them trees, with his Gada, he started smashing the trees that were coming at them with such velocity. He completely broke and smashed everything that Mainda and Dvivida were throwing at him. Prajanga then lifted his mighty sword, very, very huge sword. Udyam Vipulam Khadgam. Now, swords are generally big, but when he says Vipulam, that means the blade itself must be wide and the sword must be long and extremely sharp. And with that sword raised, Udyamya, uh, Prajanga ran towards Angada. When Angada saw, now they're being fighting, and in all of this, they have to be alert. Their peripheral vision must be perfect. Angada saw Prajanga rushing towards him. So Angada picked up a Ashwakarana tree and hit Prajanga with such intensity that although Prajanga is carrying this sword, the impact of the tree hitting Ashwakarana tree has very strong wood. And so imagine the speed with which Angada must have hurled it and smashed him, because he's carrying a sword, he's carrying the tree and hitting him. That Prajanga just fell on the ground, being hit by the blow of that tree. Um the Prajanga's sword fell on the ground. So what he did is Prajanga clenched his fist and went to fight with Angada. Now, Shonitaksha was also there while, so this Prajanga is fallen on the ground. Angada rushed towards Shonitaksha and with his fist struck the forehead of Shonitaksha. And Shonitaksha reeled because imagine being hit on the head with such intense, it's called a concussion. If you see American football, I'm not suggesting you see, in fact I'm suggesting don't see it. Back in college I used to be a football fan because our college was really very good at it, my graduate school. And most football players, American football players, suffer from concussions because it's a extremely high contact, they call it sport. Although they're wearing helmets and they're having teeth guards, when they're running, they run right into each other and you can hear the clash of the helmets. And hundreds of football players suffer with concussions and it has very lasting effects. Their brain doesn't function well because it's been hit so badly. So imagine this is Vali, not some 250 300 pound football player. This is Vali's son Angada hitting Shonitaksha on his head, on the forehead, that Shonitaksha's eyes must be reeling in their sockets. Somehow regaining his consciousness. Uh, oh, sorry, Shonitaksha struck Sa Lalata Mahaviryam Angadam, Lalate Angadam. Shonitaksha hit Angada in the forehead, and Angada's head was reeling from that hit. And regaining his consciousness, coming into proper uh, state of being that he could fight back very quickly. Uh, he still went and fought with Prajanga. Hmm? And what did he do? He with his fist hit Prajanga on the head. And the when someone's head is hit, the head goes back and completely smashed his head. Now at this time, Yupaksha saw how Angada had killed his uncle Prajanga, because when with that smash was so intense that the head went back and got separated from the trunk. So Yupaksha, with tears in his eyes, seeing his uncle Prajanga being killed like that by Angada, became happy, became very sad, got down from the chariot with his sword in his hand, and started fighting with Angada. Now, when Yupaksha was running towards him, suddenly Dvivida also got off and struck Yupaksha on the chest with all the force that he could. Now, the force with which he was hit, Shonitaksha, who also saw this, that his brother Yupaksha was being hit by Dvivida, went and hit Dvivida in the chest with his gada. Now, although Dvivida is very, very strong, but the intensity with which Dvivida was hit in the chest, Dvivida fell. But while he was falling, he grabbed the gada out of Shonitaksha's hand. Now, meanwhile, which means parallelly, Mainda arrived there very quickly by the side of Dvivida and struck Yupaksha again on the breast of Yupaksha, on the chest, with his palm. So I don't think I can describe how this battle is going on, and they have no weapons in their hands. The Vanaras, they're just using brute force of their hands and fists. And the might with which Mainda hit Yupaksha was so strong that they reeled back, and then now they're wrestling with each other. Mainda, Shoditaksha, Yupaksha, Mainda, and Dvivida. There was like a contest where they are easily or powerfully pulling, pushing, throwing each other to the ground and pummeling each other, beating each other. Now, Dvivida, who's very valiant, Dvividaha Shonitaksham tu Vidadara Nakhair Mukhe, with the tip of his nails, Dvivida tore the face of Shonitaksha and dashed him on the ground and crushed him. Mainda took Yupaksha and pressed him to the ground, pressed him in his arms and completely choked him. Yupaksham abhisankrudho maindo vanarapungavaha pidayamasa bahubhyam. He pretty much crushed him between his arms like this. Papatasa hatah kshitai. Kshitai, on the ground. That is the power of Mainda's arms, that he took a mighty Rakshasa, held him like this, and squeezed him and made him lose his life air. Wow. Now, Ravana got the news that his principal generals, heroes, were being killed like this by Mainda, Dvivida, Angada, that uh, Ravana then turned towards the direction where Kumbha, the son of Kumbhakarna, was fighting. So Kumbha saw Ravana and understood what Ravana wants him to do. And Kumbhakarna has two sons, Kumbha and Nikumbha. We will hear about Nikumbha later. Kumbha jumped into the battle where these Vanaras are and did something that Valmiki says was sudushkaram, very difficult to do. Even when Hanuman was jumping across the ocean, Valmiki used the word sudushkaram, very impossible task. Dushkaram is difficult. Sudushkaram, extremely difficult. Kumbha prachakre tejase rane karma sudushkaram. He was so intense in the battle that he was massacring all the Vanaras. So Kumbha, the prince among the Rakshasas, grabbed his bow, took out all his fancy arrows. Each arrow was sharp and powerful and dangerous like venomous serpents, and was capable of tearing flesh out of the enemy's body. This Kumbha, his bow was shining like Indra's bow. Especially when Indra is sitting on Airavata, who himself is white and glowing like anything. Kumbha uh, took a golden arrow and shot it on the Vivida, because Kumbha pulled the arrow or the bowstring all the way to his ear, which means the bow has been fully stretched. The force, the potential energy in the arrow is very, very high. And whenever it will be left, it will go at high speed. And it struck Dvivida right in the chest. And being hit by such a golden arrow, Dvivida just staggered on the ground. We've never seen Dvivida be like that because he is very strong on his feet, especially he's an ape, one of the gorilla type mighty apes that have strong, big, large feet. When they plant them on the ground, it's not easy to tackle them. He himself was the size of the Trikuta mountain, but he fell on the ground with his legs outstretched and wriggling like this. That was the power of Kumbha's arrow. So these descriptions tell us when Dvivida and Mainda crushed the Rakshasas in their arms, such strong Vanaras, when hit by one arrow of Kumbha, fell on the ground with the legs wriggling like that and completely spread, fully outstretched, that they must be under so much pain and the intensity of Kumbha's arrows. Now, Mainda saw that his brother Dvivida had fallen on the ground, picked up a mighty rock and ran towards Kumbha. But Kumbha shattered the rock with 5 excellent arrows, one after the other. Now he took another arrow, beautiful arrow, and Kumbha hit now Dvivida right in the chest. Now here all the vital organs are there, lungs, heart, and when the arrow pierced, even Dvivida fell unconscious on the ground. Now Angada saw that his two maternal uncles, Mainda and Dvivida, had fallen on the battlefield. He quickly rushed towards Kumbha, and Kumbha is standing there with his bow uplifted, ready, and he shot arrows and pierced Angada. 5 steel arrows, one after the other, and those and 3 other arrows. So 5 plus 3, 8 arrows. And these arrows were sharp like what the elephant riders poke the elephant with. Now, elephant is considered a pachyderm, a very thick skin. So you can't hit the elephant for him to understand what's going on. So this is called ankusha. When you poke it, it tells the elephant. So that pointed ankusha goes through the skin to give some sense of indication to the elephant. So these powerful arrows pierced Angada. Even with such arrows being hit by Kumbha, Angada stood there unshaken. This is Angada's power. Now, Angada, from his side, picked up mighty rocks and boulders and trees and threw it on the head of Kumbha. Now, as these trees are coming towards his head, he's being hit by some rocks are being thrown. Kumbha himself, who was such a mighty warrior, with his arrows hit and crushed many of the rocks that were being thrown at him. Now, Kumbha shot even more arrows on Angada and hit Angada right between the eyebrows. Now, as blood is flowing, Angada is protecting his eyes with one hand, and with the other hand, Angada picked up a sala tree. Imagine arrows being shot right between the eyes. With one hand, he's trying to protect his eyes, and with the other hand, picking up a sal tree. Sal tree is very strong wood. Sugriva had asked Ramachandra, "Can you pierce the sal tree?" Ramachandra pierced 7 of them because Vali could shake a good verdant sal tree with green leaves, and all the leaves would fall. Generally, leaves won't fall. They're very strongly connected to the branch. Angadaha panina netre pidhaya rudhirokshite. I still bleeding. Salamasannamekam parijagraha panina. With the other hand, he picked up a sala tree, holding it with all the branches, uh, propping it on his chest. So he's holding it that way because with the other hand is covering his eyes. Uh, Tore the tree into two with his hands, with one hand, with the other holding in his chest. Somehow he tore that tree and threw it on Kumbha. When all the Rakshasas are watching Angada fight like this. But Kumbha completely tore off the tree. And when Angada saw this, he felt very, I guess, distressed and fell down on the ground. But Angada recovered himself. Now, when Kumbha saw that Angada had fallen on the ground, all the leaders of the monkeys quickly reported that to Sri Ramachandra. Obviously, he is the prince. Ramastu vyathitam shrutva valiputram mahaahave vyadidesha harishreshta and harishreshtanjambavat pramukhastata. Hearing this, Ramachandra sent many Vanaras headed by Jambavan to protect Angada. Now, hearing Ramachandra's orders that they should go fight Kumbha, all these Vanaras rushed towards Kumbha, who was standing there with his bow raised in his hand, and all of them were keen to protect Angada. So they were all running with blood red eyes, angry. How dare Kumbha attack our prince, the son of Vali? After Sugriva, he will be the king. And they took their trees and rocks and rushed to the battlefield. Full of fury and anger, Jambavan and Sushena and the Vanara called Vegadarshi uh, went and fought with Kumbhakarna's son. Now, Kumbha is saying that they are running towards him. He shot his arrows and made the path very difficult for them to come towards him. And then he had so many varieties of arrows that, and he was shooting the arrows one after the other at all of these. And this Jambavan is the most experienced one. Jambavan, Shushena. Now, Shushena is the father of Tara. He's a doctor. So he's Angada's grandfather. So I have to take care of Angada. But Kumbha is shooting all these arrows with such speed and one after the other that Jambavan and they could not even see where Kumbha is. Their vision was being obstructed by the speed and the number of arrows that Kumbha is shooting at them. Now, when Sugriva saw that his nephew Angada, Jambavan, Shushena, and what's his name, mm, uh, Veda, Vegadarshi, Vegadarshi, they were all being checked by Kumbha. Sugriva became very angry and ran towards Kumbha angrily like a lion would attack an elephant. Now, Sugriva, of course, is even stronger than everyone else. As he's running, he's tearing up many trees, huge Ashwakarna trees. And one after the other, as he's running, he's throwing them towards Kumbha. But Kumbha is tearing up all of the Ashwakarna trees that are being thrown at him. And this fantastic, he's a glorious son of Kumbhakarna, with his sharp arrows is cutting off everything that is being thrown at him. So he has become a very, very formidable enemy of the Vanaras. Now, they're all covered with arrows that Kumbha is shooting. Jambavan is covered full of arrows. Sushena, Vegadarshi, of course, Angada is being beaten up like anything, and Sugriva was also running. Uh, then Sugriva became even more angry. But even with arrows being shot on him, Sugriva is not disturbed at all. I mean, he's hurt, but he's so much strength in him that he started throwing a shower of trees upon Kumbha. And Sugriva's speed is so much. We remember Sugriva when he was fighting with the previous Rakshasa, Kumbhakarna, how Sugriva tore off the flesh of the mighty Rakshasa and plucked off his eyes and ears and nose were cut off. Now he's doing the same to his son Kumbha. Very quickly, Sugriva snatched Kumbha's bow out of his hand. Even while he's being pierced by those arrows, took off the bow or snatched the bow out of Kumbha's hand and snapped it completely and broke it off. So Kumbha looked like an elephant whose tusks have been broken. So Sugriva gave him a compliment. O Kumbha, your prowess is fantastic. It's wonderful. You are the older brother of Nikumbha. Hmm? But uh, you are so powerful. Like you are, I can compare you to Prahlada, Bali, Indra, the Indra who killed Vritrasura, even Kubera and Varuna. That strong are you. Hmm? Honestly, you are the only one who has taken on after Kumbhakarna, who himself was exceedingly mighty. In fact, you're so strong that you resemble your father, who, when he picked his spear in his hand, all the gods would not be able to fight him. Even and the way he would torment the devatas would be like even a person who's tried and mastered his senses cannot control mental agonies. It is very, very hard. And you have an uncle, Ravana, who has defeated all the demigods because of the boons he has received from Brahma and Lord Shiva. And so you come from very, very rich, powerful lineage. You are like Indrajit in when it comes to archery, because Indrajit has no equal in the universe. Okay, so I commend you. I commend you. Uh, but let everyone witness what the fight between you and me will look like. Because you are as powerful as Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and Indrajit, just the way when Indra fought with the demon Shambhara, all of the universe witnessed such a mighty fight. Today they will see you and I fighting. A feat which has no equal. Kritam apratimam. Apratimam, you cannot give any equal idea of, oh, it was a fight like this. Kritam कृतम अप्रतिमम कर्म darshitam cha astra kaushalam, your skill in fighting with weapons. Patita harivirascha tvayete bhima vikrama. You have brought down to the ground all of my mighty, mighty Vanaras. Hmm? But you haven't faced anyone like me, so I am your only fear. Now, now that you have enjoyed your power over them, you should witness my strength. Hmm. Obviously, being complimented by an enemy gives great pride to Kumbha. Uh, Yet, he noticed that in Sugriva's compliment, there is also disdain, because they are enemies. So Kumbha said, "Come on, let's fight." So Kumbha caught hold of Sugriva in his arms, and Sugriva also caught Kumbha in his arms. So now they are like two wrestlers, and they're pushing each other. Neither of them is moving back. They are breathing heavily, their arms heavily locked with each other, and they look like two elephants whose trunks are interlocked, and both elephants are exuding that particular uh, hormone from their temples, and they are emitting flames and anger from their mouths due to exertion. Flame, not literally flame, but hot breath, because they are exerting each other against two wrestlers. And their intensity was such as they are pushing each other, the earth under their feet is sinking. And in the sea, the waves became even more intense. That was the power with which they were fighting with each other. And they're wrestling. So Sugriva lifted Kumbha and threw him with so much violence and anger and intensity into the ocean, such that Kumbha fell all the way to the bottom of the ocean. And because Kumbha had fell down into the ocean, because of the laws of physics, water got displaced. And there were waves, Valmiki says, as high as the Vindhya and Mandara mountains. Then Kumbha came back out of the water. Now he picked up Sugriva and threw him down on the ground and punched Sugriva again and again on Sugriva's chest. The punching was so hard that Sugriva's armor completely broke and blood gushed forth from his chest. And Valmiki says that the mushti, the fist with which he was punching Sugriva, was so intense that his bones in his chest uh, were cracking. It was like the flash of lightning hitting Mount Meru. Now, being hit like that, Sugriva, although very, very strong, being hit on the chest where the ribs are. I don't know if anyone ever got hit on the ribs. It's very painful. You can't breathe. But Sugriva, mighty as a soldier he is, clenched his own fist and punched Kumbha. Hmm? Sugriva's punching was so strong that it hit the chest of Kumbha, and he hears the shloka. So you have to. It's a poetic simile. So you have to imagine it or visualize it. Archihi sahasra vikarna chakram mandala varchasam. Sa mushtim patayama sa kumbhasya urasi viryavan. Urasi on his chest. The, the, the power with which Sugriva hit him was like the glowing sun in the sky with 1,000 rays. So that was the impact. Satutena praharena vihhala bruhashpiditah nipapata tada kumbho gatarchir iva pavakah. hit by that blow on his chest, Kumbha, who was out of his wits, which means he became completely unconscious, collapsed like a fire whose brightness had disappeared. If there is a fire and you throw dirt on it or splash water on it, immediately the fire goes off. So, as quickly, Kumbha lost his life and he fell on the ground. तस्मिन् हते भीमपराक्रमेण प्लवङ्गमाना प्लवङ्गमानां ऋषभेण युद्धे मही सशैला सवना चचाला भयं च रक्षास्याधिकं विवेशः. And in this encounter, when Kumbha was killed by Sugriva, Valmiki says, Mahi, the earth, Sashaila, along with its mountains and hills, Savana, along with the forests, Chachala, shook. Hmm? And the shaking was so intense that Bhayam cha rakshamsya adhikam viveshaha. That fear entered Vivesha or grabbed the Rakshasas even more. Adhikam Bhayam. So the Rakshasas who had thought they had some hope because Kumbha fought with Angada and made him unconscious, fought with Dvivida and Mainda, Jambavan, Sushena, Vegadarshi, so many. One Kumbha pretty much put all these generals and mighty warriors out of commission. So the Rakshasas had felt very inspired. But when they saw Sugriva with one punch finish Kumbha, the Rakshasas became extremely scared. Bhayam cha rakshamsya adhikam vivesha. Next time when we meet, I'm going to pause here because now we're going to hear the younger brother of Kumbha by the name Nikumbha fighting with our hero Hanuman. Now Hanuman very quickly finishes Nikumbha, which is what we will hear, and then continue from there what happens to Ravana and what happens to the Rakshasa army as the fight becomes crazier and crazier. Because Ravana then orders Makara Aksha, the guy whose eyes are like that of a crocodile, Makaraksha, and fights in the battlefield. So let's see if there are any comments, reflections. I mean, this is a fighting story, so I'm not sure if you have anything. But if you do, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. No, let me put on this one because I didn't think someone would say anything. 1 second, Varshana. Because the speakers on my computer are not. There. Go ahead.
You said that the description was hair raising, and indeed, I wanted to say that the way you narrated it was just so wonderful. Like we can just sit and
Oh,
picture the whole thing. So thank you. Uh,
I'm reading the verses. That's all it is. Thank you.
um, the question I had is not exactly related to what you're speaking,
Hmm.
but the thought that came to me was, the same Dvivida who fought here so valorously for Sri Ramachandra came as a demon in the Krishna Leela, right? Like, and he had to be killed.
Hmm.
What a transformation in one sense. I know it's not related to what you were speaking, but the thought came to me, so I'm just putting it out there. If you have any comment, that's fine. But if you would like to keep it strictly to Ramayana, then that's okay too.
No, we're speaking of Dvivida. Dvivida as mighty as he is, as fantastic as he is, as amazingly engaged in the service of Sri Ramachandra, had something, a little sand in the sweet rice towards Lakshmana. Imagine, this is after all a Vanara who has some issue with Lakshmana. So that's from one side. Banasura was born to Varahadeva and Bhumi Devi. So the son of that couple, Lakshmi Varaha, became a demon because of some really bad association over time. So in both cases, it's important to note that physical strength, mental acuity, intelligence that can be very, very strong, money. I mean, the normal list we are used to is Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri, because they fall into these categories. One may be endowed with them, yet they are not the ones that are the real assets, because these assets can make a person proud, arrogant, audacious, and ultimately it will, or that madness, madaha, will turn into animosity towards either the Lord or the Vaishnavas or other jivas too, because every jiva belongs to the Lord. But there are grades of offenses. When one offends a jiva, there is some very serious reaction. Among the jivas, if there are elevated beings, then offense towards them is even greater. That's why Brahmahatya is seen as a very major offense. But among the Brahmanas, if there are Vaishnavas, what to speak of? What happens? So while one is endowed with great assets, gifts, and even if one is in the army of or the company of wonderful Vaishnavas, one shouldn't. One should be careful of Vaishnava aparadh, mentally, verbally, or even physically. It the Vedas describe, Ramayana describes, Bhagavatam, of all the consequences of offending Vaishnavas. Now here, uh, Sugriva equates Kumbha with Prahlada and Bali Maharaj. Prahlada is a young boy. His father Hiranyakashipu, born again as this Ravana, was so powerful. Yet his own son, little boy, he did the worst things to his son. Nothing happened to his son, but Hiranyakashipu was finished. So it doesn't mean that an offender only has to be out there and such a person offends the Vaishnavas. He's saying even within the army of Ramachandra, the Vivida had something against Lakshmana. So offense against a Vaishnava is very intense, and then offense against the person or persons playing the role of a guru, because Lakshmana is there, what to speak. So that little block, that is, I'm using the word little, that block that is there ultimately had to be removed by Lord Balaram so that he's freed of that horrible body, which is the storehouse of that envy. Anything can happen when one lets even the little bit of skill, strength, quality rise to the head. I should be careful. That's the comment. I mean, not that you don't know this, you already know this, but we're just churning the topic. So feel free to add or churn it more if you like.
Thank you. I think it's always good to hear that we have to be vigilant all the time.
Mm,
And as you were speaking, because the yatra is still so fresh in my mind, I was
mm,
also thinking about the your description of how the son of Indra, the form of crow, offended Sita Devi, and yet his he I mean, of course, the Lord. We keep hearing that he doesn't have a cookie cutter method. One can be delivered
mm.
in so many different ways, and there he received the mercy of Sita Devi, who pointed him towards Lord Ramachandra's lotus feet. That he was delivered. His life was, so to speak, not taken away at that point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many ways we have to be vigilant all the time. Thank you, Prabhu.
You're welcome. As a conditioned being, I may have a certain skill or whatever. I've been practicing bhakti for some years now, but I can notice for myself that these maladies are not easy to go. In fact, my noticing of these has become even stronger because it's visible. Whether the anger or the envy or pride or mad, whatever the list is, I have a long list, six but long list. The hope or the while we are vigilant, vigilance should not make us hold ourselves back in interacting with Vaishnavas. We we freely interact. We freely uh, Dadati pratigrinati kuhyamakyati prichati bhunkte bhojayate. It should be done freely. And when there are something that happens, then as freely and quickly we repair. But vigilance, if it is all about I'm afraid, then it does not allow for exchanges. So where I was going with this is, although I notice within me a whole bunch, now that you're reminded of what you spoke about the crow, the crows represent sins. Our strength and, in one sense, insurance is uh, Mother Sita. That we plead to her, please, I'm full of offenses, but you're the only one who can set things right. You're the only one who can get somehow the glance of Sri Ramachandra to fall upon me while I am fumbling and bungling up so many things here and there. I trip and I fall and I trip others or I step on their toes. Whatever is it that I'm unaware of, you're the one who sets things right, you correct things for me. So I'm begging you to please be my savior, my protector. Because ultimately, his lotus feet is what I'm aspiring for, and you will turn my instead of my feet towards him, my head towards his lotus feet. Kripaya paryapalayat was the verse. Vadarham api kakutstha kripaya paryapalayat. Pari apalayat protected him lovingly. That those verses are my few of my favorites. So you've touched something that's uh, very dear to me. Thank you, though. Anything else by anyone? Otherwise, we can end. Okay. Thank you very much for being here. Every time you're here, I feel very encouraged. I feel inspired. Thank you for infusing me with the inspiration to continue studying and share in a broken way. because what I'm studying and what I'm relaying, there is a major dam in between. Mm. Because the river there is mighty. What's flowing out is just some trickles of it, but still it is sweet. The water that we're receiving is sweet. And our acharyas, Valmiki Rishi, the Supreme Lord, Hanumanji, they're all encouraging us, and we continue on this journey of the Mahanadi called Ramayana, ultimately to reach the Sagara, the Aranavam called Sri Ramachandra. Sri Sita Rama Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki